All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Appreciate you guys hanging out, waiting for me the last week or so. I'm still kind of sick, but we're going to trudge through the day. We're going to get it going. It's football. It's back. It's here. We're ready. Are you ready for some football? I hear everyone talking about it. Well, let's be about it. It's going to happen tonight at 8 o'clock for your Detroit Lions. Actually, 7 o'clock. I apologize. 7 o'clock tonight. Detroit Lions versus the New York Giants in what should be an epic showdown. And I only say that because typically you don't say that about preseason. But I only say that because of what we just witnessed the last few days of training camp and joint practices. And it was pretty intense. Lions and Giants both fined $200,000 each for their participation in all the altercations, which, man, I got to tell you, I haven't seen anything like this in a while in the NFL, but something happened, man. They just did not like each other. I had a good conversation last night with the New York podcast, Big Blue in the Bronx, and we'll get into some of that and kind of what he had to say, and I honestly, I wholeheartedly agree with what he said. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into a lot of things this morning. Thanks, Michael Garrity, for the $2 super chat. I'm glad to be back, too. So preseason primer is this morning. Normally, I do this the night before the game or 2 nights before the game, but due to everything going on, we're going to do it this morning. Bubble watch. So who are we going to watch tonight? Who makes sense to watch, right? Levi. Can this guy finally show up and do it in a game? It's been almost 3 seasons now for Levi. Mekhi Wingo, honestly, my number one guy to be watching tonight. Separation, who makes the move tonight? Who's going to rise above the rest? Which guys are going to finally make a name for themselves? The wide receiver room is probably the second most important room to watch tonight. Position battles, we'll talk about it all. Of course, we'll be right back in 90 seconds. Good morning, everybody.
Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future.
All grit.
Evolution. This is the future.
All grit.
Evolution.
All grit. All right, we're back. So, hey, good morning to everybody. It is Lions preseason week 1 versus the New York Giants, and we have just a little bit to talk about. So let's kick it off this morning. I see already in the chat, you guys are worried about Hendon Hooker. We'll talk about Hendon. Probably should have put him on the roster, but he's just part of the program today. So shout out to Chef Talks Lions. Congratulations on the 1,000 subs. I appreciate all of your support for him over on his channel. If you guys haven't had a chance to get over there, it's the All Grit Pod on YouTube at the All Grit Pod. Check it out. Keep pumping him up, full of subscribers. And, man, so excited to see what he has in store for you guys this year. So, game time. Game time report coming in from Chef that says game time is 7 p.m. tonight, August 8th. Weather forecast, really just don't know what it's going to be like in New York. It's been pretty hot, humid, muggy over there. Now, kickoff is supposed to be 22.6% rain. I wouldn't mind to see a little rain in this game. Let's see if Hendon can hold on to the ball. About 84 degrees, light wind, a lot of injuries going on. So Sam Laporta suffered a light hamstring injury, nothing to be concerned about. Kevin Zeitler, as we know, suffered a shoulder injury. He was evaluated for the shoulder injury during Monday's practice. And this is all per Justin Rogers of DetroitFootball.net reports. And according to the report, the severity of the shoulder injury is still unknown. I could miss some time. Obviously, we're going to expect a lot of Kobe Sorsdahl in this game, potentially. We could see other guys step up into the right guard position. Kobe should be playing more tackle, I would think, tonight than guard, in my opinion. But we'll see where that goes. Christian Mahogany, man, we just don't know what is going on with this guy. Still this mystery illness. I mean, if it's anything like I just went through, I mean, it's starting to get better after a few days, but it's been weeks now. So something big's going on. We just don't know what's going on. Would love to get some information from the Lions here, but I just don't think they're going to release anything. It could be too personal. We don't really know what's happening here. Michael Badgley, obviously this is older injury news, but he's on IR. Should miss, the entire season. Pretty nasty injury, tearing a hamstring like that. Emmanuel Mosley, man, this guy has, if no luck, the worst luck in the world. 2 ACLs, battles his way back, and then pulls a C.J. Gardner-Johnson and tears his pec. Just devastating news for him. Not so much the Lions DB room, because I will assure you that the DB room is going to be just fine, but it would have been a whole heck of a lot better had Emmanuel Mosley been healthy. But I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. I told you so, right? Shelve the guy to week 5. Let him come back nice and slow. Doesn't mean that he wouldn't have got his reps in practice. Doesn't mean that this still couldn't have happened. But here's my biggest question. And I think that some of this is going to land on the training staff for the Lions. I'm not calling them out per se, but my question would be this. I've been through multiple injuries, right? I've had to rehab them all, and I'm personally guilty of this. When you are rehabbing one area of your body, you don't pay attention to other areas of your body as well, right? So think about it when you're in a cast. You take the cast off, arm or leg, that arm or leg is like extremely small. You lose all your muscle mass, but your other leg or your other arm is a lot bigger because you've done all the work with that side of your body. Same thing when you're coming back from an ACL, you're putting all that weight and effort on the opposite leg. And then when you're healthy enough, you're supposed to exercise, the leg that's injured and rehab it, and then condition them both together to get them both back to the same, playing field, if you will. But what about his upper body? Was he working out his upper body? Was he going through upper body stretches and some sort of a rehab? I mean, did he put a lot of stress and strain, on his shoulders and upper torso area? Was he on crutches? I don't really know what he did, throughout his ACL. But the question for the trainers would be, did they do a full body exam on this guy to kind of test all of his body, right? Treat the whole body, not just the area, the whole body, and make sure that he was healthy enough to come back. Now, he's been playing for a couple of weeks, didn't seem to have any issues. Could be just a freak incident, but that would be my question. Did they examine the whole body before he came back? Is it necessary? I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I'll leave that up to the doctors to figure that one out, but that's just a question I had. So, Netane Moody also placed on injured reserve. Now, this was an up-and-coming offensive lineman, someone that we expected that was going to get, some time this year. Man, it's just the Lions went from being fully healthy to now they're not. And we're looking at some serious issues here down the line, with guys that were on the bubble and guys that we expected to get some playing time this year. And now we're questioning who's going where and what's happening. So I want to take a look at something real quick here. Real quick. Give me 1 second. Something just flashed across my screen. I hope it wasn't another injury. While I'm doing this, you guys like the new background. So I put a lot of time into getting some things reorganized It's not complete. I'm still waiting on some things to show up from Amazon. I ordered it months ago, never opened the boxes, and of course I opened the boxes and it's not what I ordered. And I can't return it, so I've just got to get new stuff. All right. Okay, nothing to worry about. No issues here. So John Kaminsky, obviously this was a big loss for the Lions. Suffered an MCL tear during practice a couple weeks back, about a week back, whatever it was. And this is a big loss because, I mean, he's kind of like that glue guy on the defensive line. You know, he's a rah-rah guy. He likes to get everybody amped up. He's been a quiet leader to a degree, but he's also pretty vocal too. I know when you say he's rah-rah and quiet, it doesn't make sense. It's kind of like an oxymoron, but he kind of fits both molds. He's a hard worker, man. He puts it all on the line every single day. This was a tough one. He was on the bubble for me, but that doesn't mean that he wouldn't have made this roster. And then, of course, we'll talk about DJ Reader here for a second. This is a guy that I really hope the Lions are learning some lessons with injuries, and I know you just can never be too sure about anybody, but please just put the guy to rest for, like, you know, the first 4 weeks. Just let him come back. The first quarter of the season, yes, it's important, but it's not like, even if we went 2-2 before he came back, which I don't think is the case, I think it would be well worth it to give him some more time so that we can get a whole season out of DJ Reader and not a partial season, you know, should he come back and re-injure himself. Don't want to see it happen. So that's really it for the Lions injury news. I'm not going to go deep off into the Giants portion of this. And this is going to be kind of a different pregame primer. So you guys, if you watched me last season, you'll know that when we get into the regular season, we're going to go really heavy into all the stats, the analytics, and we're going to pull together offense versus defense, defense versus offense, the key matchups. But when you're looking at second and third tier guys right now for the preseason, there's just not a whole lot other than who are we watching. There's not a whole lot for stats or analytics to really pull here that makes sense or at least worth the time. But when we get into week one, we'll get into all of that and a whole lot more. So let me welcome in the chat this morning. Let's see here. Who do we got in the house today? Of course, we got Tracy kicked us off early, 7:15 in the morning. Shane Smith, we got Rick in the house. Roger Chappis, good morning. Michael Garrity, David Bryson, Mike P is back in the house here. Of course, we got Chef Talks Lions, and who else is in here today? King SJ, all the way from Toronto. Man, King, you've been following for a minute, man. I appreciate you. You've been in this stream for a long time. We got Tyrone Weedleaf, not saying that nobody else is not as important, but some names you just know, and like he's been around since like day one, and a lot of you guys have too. But man, that's early over there. We got Bruce MacArthur. Who else is in here this morning? Daryl Bell, Jason, Steve K's in the house. Good to see you back, Steve. Bo Booth, good morning, and good morning to everybody in the chat. Welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. We're doing the preseason week one pregame primer. We're going to talk about the Lions versus the Giants tonight and see what's on my brain for today. So let's kick it off with Daurice Fountain. I think that's where we need to start. I think if we start with the wide receiver room and kind of, I got to pull up the depth chart here again. If we start with the wide receiver room, I think that it kind of will paint us a picture of, man, this is a fun camp, right? This is a fun preseason for the Lions because we've got a lot of positions that, are not as clear in that position battle. And I think that the wide receiver room is one of those battles that maybe we did not expect to go the way that it has, or at least I didn't. You guys can tell me what you thought. But I did not expect we were going to be at week one talking about Daurice Fountain. Number two, I did not expect to not be talking about DPJ or Traquan Smith, guys that have extensive history in the NFL, just like Daurice Fountain. When you look at all three of those guys, you expected that those are probably going to be the three that were going to make some noise. Daurice, I was probably 6th, 7th wide receiver maybe on him. Just being honest, right? We can't get them all right. So now I'm looking at it like, man, DPJ's quiet. and Traquan Smith is quiet. What is going on here? Like, these are guys that should be coming in, knocking down doors, right? Kicking in walls, taking names, and doing the thing. And they're quiet. And I don't understand it. So maybe DPJ wants more playing time. And maybe he sees that the writing's on the wall, right? You got Jamison Williams. You have, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Something else just flashed across the screen. I'll get to that in a minute. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams. And so there's really not a clear, defined way. And Cleve Raymond, for him to jump ahead of somebody, Samuel Porta, who's really a receiver, the rise of Jahmyr Gibbs into the pass game. And so you see where I'm going with this. Maybe he's just kind of like, yeah, if I get cut, maybe I'll land on a team that give me more PT. I'm not saying he's thinking that, but thoughts crossed my mind. I mean, some players probably realize, hey, I need to put some camp work in. I need to, put some tape out there, in preseason. So when I do get cut, or if I get cut, I can land on a team that maybe needs a third wide receiver where I can get more playing time and get some game action. I think the DPJ deserves it. I mean, he's shown in this league for a minute that he can work and get some work done, but he just hasn't shown it the last couple of seasons. So I expected more out of DPJ. Hope's not lost on him. I still have high hopes for DPJ to put it together here in the preseason, but we'll see where it goes. Let's talk about Daurice Fountain, though. Now, I did a little background. Last night on the Big Blue in the Bronx pod, we talked about Daurice Fountain. So I'm going to give you some of the same information. 5th-round draft pick by the Colts in 2018. I didn't realize that this guy had as much experience in the NFL. He just hasn't had a ton of playing time. So for me to realize, not only is he 4 or 5 years in the league, but 6'2", 210 pounds, he was a direct replacement for a Josh Reynolds size-wise. Not skill set-wise, but he has some other skills that I think separate him from what Josh Reynolds gave us. And the reason why I say that is I think that we're still looking for, the true number 2, which should be Jamison Williams. But after J-Mo now, who's going to pick up what J-Mo was able to do and put more stats behind it. So if Reynolds put up 600 and J-Mo put up, 3, 4, 500, whatever it was, combined, we need to get 1,000 yards out of somebody or a couple of guys. And I was hoping to see that, DPJ was going to be that guy and maybe J-Mo would step up to the plate, but it could be Daurice Fountain who puts up 600 yards this year. The way he plays, I mean, the guy is extremely physical at the catch point. Way more physical than I thought Josh Reynolds ever was. When I made it to practice the one time, and we'll be back out on Sunday, we're still trying to organize this meet and greet. So if you guys want to do the meet and greet, I'll just put an area, on the map of where we're going to be. I'm trying to do it at Pro Sports Zone right now, and Meyer's still supposed to get back to me. But anyway, I digress. We'll get into Daurice now. So Daurice Fountain, unfortunately, most of his career, he's really struggled with injury. And it kicked off that way since he was a rookie. Primarily a practice squad guy, had a major, ankle injury that sidelined him for what was pretty much all of 2019. And then he comes back in 2020 and he saw some game action with the Colts, but then after that season, he kind of just bounced around a little bit between the Chiefs, the Packers, between 21 and 22. Didn't really see much action at all other than practice squad, camp body, style of contracts, right? I mean, it was very limited, if any, game time. I think he's had 3 total targets or 3 total catches in the NFL since he's been in, since 2018. But the Lions needed some depth last season. And I think that Brad Holmes had the forethought to say, okay, what if Josh Reynolds doesn't come back next year? Who can we kind of slot into that position now? Maybe land him on a practice squad if they can't crack the roster and keep him around long enough so that maybe we'll have a shot at him in 2024. Maybe he thought that far out. I don't know. I like to think he did. And that's where Daurice Fountain kind of fits. So just like every season, though, what else do we have, guys? I mean, we see this every year, the Tom Kennedys. I call it the Tom Kennedy syndrome. And I'm not saying that this is Daurice Fountain. I'm not saying that he doesn't have a shot. I'm not saying that he can't make the roster because clearly he's like the number 4 right now. But what I am saying is we get these guys that just play lights out in camp, and then they have a pretty solid preseason, and then they disappear. And I'm hoping that's not Darius Fountain, because we need a bona fide fourth guy for sure. But I'm just going to throw it out there that it happens more times than not in the NFL, that these guys, make some hay and then it all goes away. But what I do like is that Darius Fountain has 5 legit seasons in the NFL. So he has plenty of experience in multiple systems. I did see him at camp, and I did see that he had very solid hands and what looked to be a guy that will find the crease, sit down, seems very confident, very comfortable within this system, working with Jared Goff. And he's got a pretty impressive catch rate, man. I mean, he's making some pretty big plays. He's demonstrated a very strong work ethic. Obviously, he's been putting the work in since day one this year. Kind of bounced off the page in front of everybody's eyes right away. And look, that's great, right? I mean, he's someone that's hungry. He's on a good team. He knows he's on a good team. He's got great leadership around him. Phenomenal coaching staff. Antoine Randall L's one of the better wide receiver coaches in the league, in my opinion. I mean, the Lions are really doing a great job with all these positional coaches. And then, of course, who wouldn't want to play for Dan Campbell? Like, just who wouldn't? But everyone needs to stay healthy, right? And I hope that Darius stays healthy. But he's really excelling right now in the right opportunity, if that makes sense, right? He's got the right opportunity right now, and he's doing everything with it. So for someone that is literally, like I said, had 3 targets in the NFL, he is sure to be one hell of a comeback story. If this happens, if he makes this roster, which I believe he could be the 5th for sure. Right now, a lot of guys have him slotted, a lot of analysts have him slotted as the 4th, even as high as the 3rd I've seen over Khalif Raymond. But I expect to see tonight a lot of balls go his way. He needs to be catching, 75% of these balls at least, to solidify in my eyes that, he's going to be able to carry his weight when it comes time to the, regular season. Needs to be consistent, game in and game out. I think that's where, we saw a drop off with Tom Kennedy, is his consistency kind of faded at times. He would make a big splash play, but then the consistency kind of faded. Darius, we got to see consistency tonight, and then next week, and then the week after. And then, of course, he's got to stay healthy. He's got to know his assignment. He's got to run some clean routes. But I will tell you, from what I've seen so far, whether it's been, camp tape, things that are leaking out, or, whatever the Lions are posting, or when I was in camp, Darius has been playing pretty well. So look forward to Darius tonight. Can't wait to see what he does. Now let me head over to the chat. What do you guys think about Darius Fountain right now? Where is he slotted in your receiver room? Is he 3? Is he 4? Is he 5? Is he 6? Is he not even close? What is this? I'm hooked on a feeling. I keep seeing that posted around. I know you guys are talking about Hendon Hooker. So Chef Talks Lion says he has him at 3 right now. Lionized says 4. So I'm probably more in the boat with Lionized, and here's why. What was it, a week ago? I said, don't be surprised if Khalif Raymond doesn't make this roster. Yeah, Khalif's going to make this roster. Not only is he going to make this roster, I think he's already locked in as number 3. I guess and the reason why I say that is, excuse me there, I expected more out of DPJ and Traquan Smith and Antoine Green. And I was looking at it from a size thing, right? Like, are the Lions going to go bigger, or are they going to keep, Khalif around, who's a little bit smaller, but he does more with the ball, right? He can return kicks, punts. We do need some speedier guys, off of this new kickoff rule, and I'll talk about that too. That's where I was headed with that. That if those 3 emerged, right? If DPJ, Antoine Green, Traquan Smith emerged and really were playing well, I would tend to think, a guy that's in his last year of his contract would probably get edged out, over the guys that are a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, maybe not as fast, but offer a little bit more, from terms of skill set, right? Khalif is kind of a one-trick pony, in my opinion. He's a speedy guy, slippery guy, but he's always been reliable for Jared Goff, and I think that's the thing you can't ignore with Khalif Raymond. So I expect Khalif on this roster. That's why I've got right now Darius Fountain's probably number 4. If DPJ or Antoine Green step up, Mike P., I agree with you. But if DPJ and Antoine Green finally step up during preseason, we could see a change in that tide too. Brent DeWitt says Green needs a good preseason or he's probably gone. Man, I would hate to see that happen. I've been really high on Antoine Green, and I just don't know why it's quiet right now. Is it quiet because maybe the analysts and the reporters and the beat writers are not really spending the time watching Antoine Green? Is Antoine Green just not getting enough reps? Is he dealing with some ticky-tack stuff, injury-wise? Is he just not getting targeted because Hendon Hooker is not, throwing him the ball? Or, is it because Hendon Hooker's spraying the ball everywhere and not getting the ball into receivers' hands that we're not hearing enough out of Antoine Green? So I think that we have to kind of take into consideration here a little bit of everything that's going on. If Antoine Green was in the game with Jared Goff and it was, no Amon-Ra, no Jameson Williams, and it's, DPJ, Antoine Green, Traquan Smith running routes together, I bet you that we'd see an Antoine Green that can play pretty well. So I think that, he's kind of a product of his surroundings too. I mean, Hendon Hooker's had some issues. But I'm not going to say it's all doom and gloom for Hendon Hooker. Let me pull up some notes here on old Hendon, since you guys are talking about him. Let's just go right to Hendon. So we're talking about the wide receiver room. Obviously, Darius Fountain is number 1 in my eyes tonight. Keep your eyes on him. We're not going to see Amon-Ra. We're not going to see Jameson Williams. We should see Khalif Raymond possibly. I wouldn't be surprised if we do. But between DPJ, Traquan Smith, Darius Fountain, Caden Davis, and Isaiah Williams as well. I mean, those last two, Caden Davis and Isaiah Williams, those are the other two that I would watch tonight. Those guys I think are really battling right now for a practice squad spot. And Isaiah Williams could leap if the Lions do keep a 6th wide receiver, which would be rare. But if they did, you could see Isaiah Williams end up on this roster as the next kind of Amon-Ra, St. Brown kind of skill set. And you don't want to lose him, right? You don't want to lose a guy like Isaiah Williams. They invested heavily in him to bring in as an undrafted free agent. So if the Lions keep 6 wide receivers this year, you could see Isaiah edge somebody out. But Caden's been playing pretty well too, so we'll see where that goes. Yeah, 5 never feels right to me, Braylon. I don't know why they only keep 5, but I think that here's the question when it comes to the 53-man roster. Is that 6th wide receiver going to give you more than that 10th, offensive lineman or defensive lineman or, that 6th cornerback or that 4th safety? Those are the big questions that they're going to have to ask themselves. And it's tough, right? I mean, it's extremely difficult to get it down to 53 as it is. But when you're tossing up a 6 wide receiver, and let's just be honest, how much time is this 6 wide receiver going to get? 25% of the snaps on special teams? That's about it. After your wide receiver 3, you're maybe expecting a few hundred yards for these guys. Maybe a dozen catches, 20 catches on the season, unless there's an injury. So really after, Jameson Williams, Darius Fountain, and Khalif Raymond, you're just not expecting a whole lot, yardage-wise, production-wise out of these guys. So I think that's where you have to look at it. Okay, what are they going to give me, skill set-wise in special teams? That's how they're going to make the roster. That's where they're going to have to be effective. And I can't honestly tell you how good has Caden Davis or Isaiah Williams been in the, special team side of the ball. Like, I don't know. No clue. We'll find out on the 11th. Hopefully we'll see some more action on the 11th. Lion Eyes says, I hear Caden is balling. He has been having a good camp. He's going to be the number to watch tonight. So Darius Fountain, Caden Davis, Isaiah Williams, those are my 3 wide receivers to watch tonight. Obviously, DPJ and Traquan Smith, but I really want to see the two lower tiered guys battle it out and just see how well they do. I was really high on Isaiah Williams, like really high on him in this offseason. So I just want to see it come to fruition. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I just want to see it happen because I want to see it happen. I don't like to be wrong. Oh, great. Now Tracy Walker is signing with the 49ers. Come on, guys. Like, good Lord. Is what it is. They're just trying to learn what we do. All right, so Hendon Hooker. Let me get my notes up here. Let me just start off by saying this. Hendon's had a tough camp. He had a tough OTAs, but we didn't know that he was battling, was it his ring finger? I think he had a slight dislocation on his ring finger, right? Oh, hold on here. The ads are off, right, Trace? Let me know. No, they're not? Oh, this is what I get for... Hey, it's my first date back. Hold on. Like, I've never done this before. Give me just a second. Oh, I see it is on. I see it. Here we go. We'll turn it off. We don't like ads. Just remember that Rocktown Detroit Lions, Rocktown Podcast Network is the only channel that pays for your ads, right? Every live show. So get into the live show because when it's done being live, that's when the ads get turned on. So we are the only channel that does that. We don't care about money. We care about content. We care about the fans and the viewers and the algorithm. That's what we really care about is getting this out there to more Lions fans. Help find us more Lions fans that, want to learn more about the Lions and become Lions fans. We want to get them when they're young, right? We want to make sure that we've got these Lions fans continuing to grow up with us and around us. So that's why we do it. We are all about the fans, not about the money. So Hendon Hooker, tough camp. Dislocated his finger. We didn't know that. So he was struggling throwing the ball. Couldn't grip the lace right. Okay, great excuse. Good excuse. But now you're, 6-8 weeks post that, 9 weeks post that. What are you doing now? And I would say that tonight's focus is going to be on Hendon Hooker. The fact that there's even a question that Hendon Hooker or Nate Sudfeld, that should not be a question right now. Now, you guys know that I wanted Hendon Hooker on this team. I predicted it way before the draft last year, even the round, got it all right. And now I'm looking like, man, did I really want this guy? Like, what's going on here? The answer is yes. I still do. The answer is yes, he's going to be fine. The biggest question is he's still young, guys. Like, he's still learning. He's only in his second season. Now, when we talk about ACLs, I think that there's a big misconception here. Now, again, I'm not a doctor, so I would rely heavily on a doctor that wants to correct me if my assumption or assessment is wrong. But I'm going to go off of what I've seen. Jameson Williams. It took him 2 seasons to finally feel comfortable on the football field from an eye test perspective, right? When you watch him play, he did not look comfortable until last year, second half of the season, he started to look really comfortable. So it took 2 seasons, just about. Anybody that you've seen with an ACL takes 2 seasons to really start to play well. This is Hendon Hooker's second season, so he's going to have to get through this year. He may feel comfortable running around, right? But he's got to get everything working back in order again. The body mechanics, the muscle memory, everything has to come in line. And then you have to look at where he came from with Tennessee, right? That offense, and I've said it multiple times, that offense does not translate to the NFL whatsoever. And I think that's why you're seeing him sit back there like a Statue of Liberty and just kind of hold the ball a little bit too long. At Tennessee, he could do that. He just would drop back, sit there, and wait until someone is open and fling it. Can't do that right now. Not in the NFL. He's got to take his 2, 3, 4-step drop, get that ball out, in under 3 seconds, and he's just not there yet. He's not, extremely confident, at least from an eye perspective. I can't tell you mentally where he's at, but I will tell you this, he's going to be fine. And the things that we've read or the things that we've seen, we haven't seen or heard all the rest of it, right? There's other days here that he's played great, that he's had really good days in camp. It's the days that he's having bad days that are being glorified for whatever reason, whether it's the beat writers or the other analysts that really aren't there or whomever is picking up this information. They're really glorifying the fact that Hendon Hooker is having a terrible camp, when in fact, it's probably more 50-50. It's just the stuff that you're seeing is more out there in the news than the stuff you're not seeing. So what I would warn everybody against is maybe don't read into everything so much. Tonight could go terribly wrong for Hendon. It's his first game back. I'm sure that he is all sorts of nervous today. And you're probably going to see that come out, at least in the first couple of series. Maybe the Lions would be wise to hand the ball off a few extra times, get his legs under him, maybe a short dump off pass in the very beginning, get his confidence working, and then open up the playbook a little bit. But I expect tonight to be a little difficult for Hendon Hooker, and I expect Nate Sudfeld probably to play better, but it's also Nate Sudfeld. He is a third-string quarterback forever. I mean, that's just who he is. Hendon Hooker is going to make this roster. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Unless he's injured or does something totally wild and throw 5 interceptions tonight, he's making this roster. So tonight's game, let's focus on evaluating, our depth and performance, right, of all these second and third tier players. I firmly believe that, Hendon needs to improve his consistency. He needs to limit his interceptions. He needs to demonstrate more of a command of this offense, which I think has been lacking so far. And watch for his decision-making under pressure, because so far his decision-making under pressure has been kind of god-awful. His accuracy, we need to monitor his accuracy on which route. Do you guys have any clue what route Hendon Hooker has been having a lot of trouble with? And I'm going to ask you guys this because it's been pretty wide openly known, I guess, as I could say. Everyone pretty much has seen it. There it is. Chef Talks Lions, out routes. So just about every time Hendon is dropped back to throw an out route, he's getting the ball tipped or picked. And I don't understand why. I mean, after you go through this a few motions, you should know I've either got to throw it early, I got to throw it more outside, or I've got to, pump fake or something. He's got to do something to sell the out route. And what I'm guessing is he's throwing the ball off the break, not before the break. So he's got to see the break happening. And again, I think that this is all going to take time, right? It's the muscle memory. It's learning your receivers. Each one of these receivers is different. I don't know if he's, throwing an interception towards the same receiver every time and he just has a connection issue, or if it's been multiple receivers that, he's targeted that he's throwing picks at. So either way, tonight, let's just be calm about it. I'm sure tomorrow it's all going to erupt, or tonight it's all going to erupt when Hendon Hooker throws an interception, or if he has a bad game. Just blow it off, guys. It's too early. We still have a couple more preseason games. And to be honest with you, we're not expecting Hendon Hooker to play it all this season anyway. And even if he does, I think we'll be okay. We can hand the ball off 35 times. I mean, let's just be real here. We got 2 of the best running backs in the league. Matter of fact, you can hand it off 50 times because you can put Jamison Williams back there. There's a lot we can do with the ball. And I'm not worried about it. I think Hendon will be just fine. He's just going to need a little bit of time. Yeah, there you go. Relax. I thought I put that one in there, but I guess I better put this one in there.
You sure about that?
I don't know.
You sure?
I hope so.
That? You sure about that?
Yeah, I'm sure. Hendon Hooker's going to be all right. The Nate Sudfelds of the league here. So, look, he's competing, right? He's competing at a high level. The difference between Nate and Hendon is Nate knows this offense really well. And he's been, that guy in Jared Goff's ear when he's been the backup. And to be honest with you, that's why he's playing a little bit better. He knows these guys a little bit more. He's been around a little bit longer in the league-wise, right? Not so much with the team, but in the league. And I feel like this is a guy that, he plays well in preseason, but when it comes time, against the ones, he's never played well. So I'm going to take what Sudfeld does with a grain of salt. And the reason why I say that is he's always been this third string guy that plays well in preseason, plays well in camp, and then he can't maintain it. I don't think it's any competition for a healthy Hendon Hooker that has a good understanding of an offense that's had some playing time and had some time to get that muscle memory worked out. I think that we'll see Hendon really start to fly next season. I think is when we're probably going to see him take that big leap. It's just going to take him a little bit more time to get there. But running backs. So this is another bubble watch for me. I don't know about you guys, but are the Lions going to keep 3 or 4? 3 or 4? That's what I'm concerned about too. I don't think there's any secret right now that it's Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, and Sione Vaki. I don't think there's any secret to that at all. That's your 3. The Lions kept 3 last season. They kept 4 the season before that. What is it going to take? So what is it going to take to keep a 4th running back this year? Special teams. I told you I was going to talk about the kickoff rule, so we're going to do it now. We'll talk about Jake Bates a little bit too. Running back, special teams, kickoff rule, they're all kind of blending together for me. If the Lions are going to keep a 4th running back this season, I think it's primarily because we need faster guys to get off the line in this new kickoff rule format. So watching a few of these, kickoffs happen, the one thing remains very clear to me is I don't think that there's any difference of violence with this kickoff versus the other kickoff at all. I've seen some really wicked hits at the Hall of Fame game. And I just don't feel like it's any different. These guys are going to get down there, and you know what? I didn't see a ball returned, I think, past the 26-yard line. So if the NFL is thinking that this is going to create more kick returns and more offense or deeper returns, I didn't see it yet. Now, that was just one game. We haven't seen the rest of the NFL do it, but that's just one game. But what I noticed is you want faster guys getting off the line because you're so close together. Shiftier guys that can make a move and skirt around the defender, right? That's where I think it opens up the slot for a 4th running back in 2024. Craig Reynolds is not afraid to lay the shoulder. He is not afraid to make the hit. He's not afraid to make a tackle. We saw it in the Bucs game last season. Matter of fact, it was against Carlton Davis of all people. So I think that that's where the Lions potentially do keep Craig Reynolds, is that we keep a 4th running back for special teams, which I wouldn't be mad at. I like Craig a lot. I think that Craig has been an absolute dog when he needs to be. I think that he understands his offense really well, that whenever he's been in the game, I mean, the guy was averaging almost 5 yards a clip. I think he'll be just fine. If we suffer another injury, like we did last year to both running backs, we're going to need 2 running backs. In getting lucky and parking these guys, on the practice squad all the time, it just doesn't always happen. So for all those reasons, I do believe that the running back room is set with its 3. The question is, will special teams make the Lions keep 4? And then what does that do to the tight end position? So I think that the tight end position is another one where I think we're fairly set with our 3. And I believe last year we kept 3, and the year before that I think we kept 4. I can look real quick. I want to make sure I'm right here. I don't want to give you bad info. So in 2022, we did keep 4. So we had TJ, Brock Wright, James Mitchell, Shane Zielstra. Here's the thing with tight ends. Do I believe that the tight ends make great special teamers? Not always. It depends on who it is. Obviously, it's not Sam Laporta. Brock Wright, yeah, he could play special teams. Probably wouldn't want him to. Could Shane Zielstra play special teams? Probably. More than likely will get some time there. So my question is, James Mitchell, where's this guy at? He's kind of disappeared. Right now, Shane Zielstra is your number 3 tight end. So tonight, when you're watching the game, we've got to pay attention to Shane Zielstra and Parker Heese and the other guy, James Mitchell. I think there's a battle right there with those three guys for a fourth tight end. And I'm not saying that the Lions are going to keep four. Matter of fact, I think they're going to stick with three. But I think that there's the question, right? Is that fourth tight end going to be better than a fourth running back? Is that fourth tight end going to be better than keeping an extra offensive lineman, given the injury, issues that we got going on right now? I mean, a draft pick who hasn't even shown up yet. So I think that we're stuck with three. But I do believe that Parker Heath is making a name for himself, and I think that Parker would be kept over James Mitchell on a practice squad right now. I think that James is kind of on his way out. He just hasn't shown much. He's battled through injury, been real slow to progress, in the league. So in my opinion, I do believe that Mitchell is probably gone. We got Booner in the house this morning. Good morning, Booner. How you doing today? Booner thinks Craig is a lock too. I mean, do you think he's a lock over Vaki, or are you in the same mind frame that special teams could lend to us keeping a fourth? Chat's flying this morning, so I can't keep it in line. So anyway, I guess that's where I'm at with, some positions to watch, tonight. Obviously, Hendon Hooker, I think he's going to be fine. Nate's always going to play well, right? But when it comes time, in a regular season game, he just doesn't. For that reason, I would rather keep the young guy and Hendon Hooker around. I don't think Hendon's going anywhere. All right, so Booner thinks we're going to keep four running backs. All right. I'm glad I'm not the only one thinking a little outside the box here. I see the Booner path, right? We see it. We got it. Where can you stream the game tonight? That's a good question. I don't even know what channel the game is on yet. But I have all sorts of streaming platforms. So I'm sure I'll have it, whether it's NFL Network, NFL Plus, or local channels. I think Fox 2 is going to air all the channels or all the preseason games, if I'm correct. I don't know. I'll try to double check it before we end today. So running backs, I think the Lions are going to end up keeping four. I do believe that Vaki is our third as a lock right now. I don't think the Lions take a third, round running back, or waste a pick on a running back that early that they're not going to keep around. The nice thing about Vaki is he is someone that's going to be able to step into special teams right away. Being a former safety, the guy can tackle, the guy can hit, and he's fast enough to get down the field. So let's watch for Vaki tonight on special teams plays. Wide receivers, Darius Fountain's making a name for himself, but what about Caden Davis? What about Isaiah Williams? Is DPJ or Traquan Smith going to show up? Because right now there's nobody doing anything to really edge out a fourth wide receiver right now. So we need to see some big-time play out of the bottom end of this receiver room. Totally unexpected this year. Totally unexpected. Tight ends, I think it's pretty silly to think that Shane Zielstra wouldn't make the roster right now. I can't imagine that Brad Holmes would be that bullheaded because he picked up James Mitchell that he would keep him over a guy that clearly is outperforming him. And Shane was playing pretty well last season before he suffered the injury. I mean, I was on the outs of James Mitchell last year. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Offensive line tonight. Look, we need to see some things out of this offensive line. Look, our starters are not going to play. If they do, it'd be very limited. I don't think any of them really are going to play. I don't think Penei Sewell's going to get in there. I don't think Decker's going to get in there. So the question is going to be, I don't think Ragnow's going to get in there. Who's going to step up? We're dealing with some injuries. We're dealing with some guys that haven't shown up into camp yet. So Giovanni Manu, So Giovanni Manu, Christian Mahogany hasn't shown up yet. But I want to see Giovanni Manu really step up tonight, whether he's slotted as a guard, which is the potential for him tonight. Let's watch his footwork, his hand placement. Is he staying down? Is he sinking below his shoulders? He kind of plays with a high pad level, and that's where a defender can really eat you alive. So I want to see him progress tonight. I want to see him have some fun out there, but I really want to see him progress. So Giovanni Manu's on my watch list tonight. And then defensive line. Levi Onwuzurike, man. Finally coming back, putting it all together. He is a guy that when we watched him as a rookie, we were like, wow, Brad Holmes hit a home run. This guy can play. violent hands, quick reaction off the ball, and then he gets injured. And then he stays injured. And he battles back from back injury. And now it's kind of last contract or last year of your contract. He's playing for a contract, but really he's playing for a second chance in the NFL. He's kind of been gone, right? So now it's his time to shine and show that he can play. He's been playing so well that Kevin Zeitler thinks that the Lions are going to have two $20 million defensive linemen here, between Ali McNeil and Levi Onwuzurike. And what I mentioned last night is that I don't think that Zeitler meant that Levi's worth $20 million a year, but that's the style, that he's playing like, right? That he is a $20 million guy. He's playing like that right now, which is a lot of money, right? I mean, that's a big amount of money. When you look at the $20 million guys in the NFL, who can you compare him to? And if he's playing that well, it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. Above all else, Levi needs to stay healthy. Josh Paschal is another guy that's kind of on the list of what have you done for me lately. And I'd love to see Josh Paschal have a good night tonight. I think between those two, those are the two guys that I'm looking most forward to outside of Betts. And Betts is a guy that now it's time to see, can he put it together in an NFL game where he's got, closer combat? Can he fight off the tackles? Can he get around and bend around the edge and make some plays? So Betts is a big opportunity tonight. I think that your eyes are going to be fixed on him whenever the Lions are on defense. And that's going to be the funnest transition, I think, tonight for some of these guys is taking that next step in the NFL and really putting that tape down to say, I got it. I can do it. I'm here. Just get after it. So Betts is going to be fun to watch tonight. I'm going to predict a sack for Betts. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to predict a sack for Betts. And I forgot to talk about Bates. We'll come back to Bates here in just a moment. So with all three of those guys, I think the biggest objective is showing the ability to disrupt the backfield, right? Can they contain the run, stay within their assignment, and then can they also make some plays, where they have to be, chameleons of sorts, right? They got to start to blend and be very fluid. Can they make some plays? You obviously need to play within the scheme, but they also need to make sure that they can disrupt the game, get the quarterback off his count, crashing down the line, making sure the running back can't get on the outside. But if he does, are you going to be in a position, to clean it up and not allow, big runs or big plays over the middle, from the linebackers? So I think that's going to be, really fun to watch tonight is where are these guys really at? Key points, obviously, we're going to monitor some, the penetration and the pressure on the quarterback. I think Betts can get there, but Mekhi Wingo, that's the guy that we got to watch tonight for this penetration as an interior defensive line rush attack. He is a guy that can do it on the inside, and he did it at LSU. It's going to be really fun to watch this guy tonight perform and live up to the hype. Can he do it against this offensive line? We're going to find out here in, 9-10 hours, whatever it is. Watch Mekhi Wingo tonight on the defensive side of the ball. I'm at 2 bets. Probably be my 1-2, and then Levi O is my third option there to really have my eyes fixated on him as opposed to somewhere else on the field. Those are the 3 guys on the defense that I'm most worried about. We kind of know what these guys are in the DB room, right? The Khalil Dorsey's been around. Kendall Vildor's been around. CJ Moore coming back. I mean, that's a guy to keep your eye on. But, again, we know those guys a little bit more. We know what they are and we know what they're not. So fixating my eyes and watching the younger guys or the guys that really have something to prove is where I'm going to pay the most attention. And we'll see. Tonight when we do a recap show after the game, it'll be late, but we'll do a recap show. We'll see what we come to the table with. Tackling consistency has been an issue for some of these guys. So are they going to be able to wrap up and hold on to these guys? None of these shoulder checks, none of these arm checks, like wrap them up, drive them into the ground, or, don't catch a penalty, obviously, but, hold the line of scrimmage and then wrap these guys up. Can they play this gap and a half scheme or not? Last season, I think that our run defense was so stout, especially in the red zone, But our run defense was so good, and I think a lot of that is because we transitioned from a gap to a gap and a half scheme. I have not heard where AG has made any changes to that this season. So watching this gap and a half scheme work tonight, remember the analogy I made last year is, when you're head up, let's say you're head up, nose tackle on center. Well, you're going to cover, let's say the left, the gap to your left, and then half of an arm to your right. That's the way that I look at it. So you're not really fully extending your arm, but then the guy next to you is doing the same thing. They're reaching over to, touch your half of a gap, and then they're taking the gap next to them. So basically 2 guys cover 3 gaps. And I feel that's why we had such great success. Now, Broderick Martin is another guy that we need to see tonight perform. There's been a lot of shadows cast over him, and look, he's a developmental guy. He's someone that was not expected to play a whole lot last year, but he is someone that can excel in this scheme. Big, long arms, big body. He's a guy that can eat up, double teams and still get your, hands on a running back. Give me 1 second. So Broderick Martin obviously has been on a lot of people's minds. And I think that we need to see him progress tonight, right? We need to see all the body transformation work. We need to see what he's learned in the last year and if he can put it together tonight. Obviously, DJ Reader not being in the mix, we're going to rely heavily on Broderick Martin getting a lot of snaps right now. At least probably 50% is what I would think. If the Lions do what I think that they're going to do and put DJ Reader on the shelf for 4 weeks to allow him to come back, they may not. Then we're going to see a lot more Broderick Martin. So tonight it's Broderick Martin's show. Him and Levi, they really got to put it together. But Betts on the outside, man, got to see him get home tonight. And at least show us that he's competent, right? He may not get a sack, but at least show us that he's competent, that he's not getting overmatched, he's not getting overpowered, he's not making big mistakes. And I think if you watch, that kind of side of the defense, and I doubt Marcus Davenport gets in, but if he does, I think it'd be great if he could get a couple of snaps in tonight to see how well he plays. Again, there's a lot of talk about Marcus. He's not who we needed. He's not the right guy. The Lions didn't go out and get that big, shiny, $25 million guy. So, what are we going to do? We don't have anybody opposite of Hutch. Look, I think Davenport's going to run through everybody's face, like Aleem said. I think that he's going to be, if he's healthy, he's going to be a complete disaster for offenses. You can't run left. You can't run right. What are you going to do? You can't run towards Hutch, and now you can't run away from him. I think that's a great position to be in for a defense that, oh, by the way, will eventually have DJ Reader coming through the middle, already has Aleem McNeil. This is going to be a fun defense. And I think that when you look at the totality of the defense and the coverage ability, as long as these guys don't get torched like they did against Malik Neighbors, which that was a lot of 7-on-7, by the way, I think that it's going to be an extremely fun and exciting defense to watch. So a lot going on there. Obviously, Jack Campbell probably won't play tonight. I'd be surprised if he does. But Derek Barnes has really made some significant steps this season. So I want to see, again, is he going to carry over what he did, from last year? Very quick at diagnosing plays, making some solid tackles in the run game. And he had pretty good coverage skills. So I want to see that continue. But I think the biggest story of the night, outside of the defensive line, and I'll come back to the chat just one moment, Ennis Rakestraw. Now, unfortunately, Emmanuel Mosley suffered a torn pec, out for the season more than likely. At least 5-6 months, right? So Ennis Rakestraw now has an opportunity to get more snaps with the ones. He has more opportunity to actually get more playing time. Whereas before, I think he was kind of stuck between or under Amik Robertson, Emmanuel Mosley. He was the third guy. Now you're looking at him being probably the fourth cornerback in the room. And the way that he's been ball hawking the last week, he's taking picks down left and right, getting his hands on balls everywhere, deflecting passes, defending passes, sticky coverage. I'm not going to say he's had a better week than Terry and Arnold, but he's kind of had a better week than Terry and Arnold. And that should make everybody excited. Terrian's going to be fine. He's going to have his early days of, getting torched or having a bad practice here or there. That's fine. He needs that. He needs that confidence readjustment session, if you will. Terrian's going to be fine. But now Ennis Rakestraw, being able to step up now tonight, I think he's going to get a lot of PT. We need to see what this guy can do. Can he stay sticky? Can he get his hands on the balls tonight? But at a minimum, I just want to see him play good, solid, clean football. Just don't get beat. Know your assignment. Stay in front of the guys. Don't get beat. If we start to see what we did last year, which we could, it's the first preseason game. We could see where we're getting eaten alive over the middle again. I hope that by next week that goes away. But for tonight, I just want to see guys, play sound football, stay within their assignment, make some good plays on these guys. Just not get Pete downfield all night long. That would really be demoralizing to all the work that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell have done this offseason bringing in these guys. Now, one of the questions that Big Blue and the Bronx was going to ask me last night was, do I feel like, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes did enough for the cornerback room? And the answer is a resounding yes. I think that we've got a great mix of young talent, some good young veterans. I think overall what you're seeing here is some guys that can play ball and at a high level. It's the communication now. Are these guys on the same page? Are they working together? I know they're all trying to win a spot, but at the end of the day, are they working together? It's very difficult to communicate in a DB, in the back end of a defense when you got 60,000 fans talking and screaming. These guys have to know what the other is doing. Tonight will be evident, are these guys on the same page? Do they know what the other's doing or thinking? Are they going to play well within the scheme together? And can they shut it down? And that's what we're hoping to see. I don't think we're going to have any issues in the run game, but I think the pass game is still, we don't know what we have yet, right? I think we have an idea, but we just haven't seen it yet. Maybe tonight, second half of the game, we'll finally start to see what this defense can do. All right, let me get into the chat a little bit. So we got a lot going on this morning. Man Bear Pig says good morning or something like that. Says ahoy, ahoy, friends. Zachary Cleary says, I want to see the entire defensive line ball out tonight. I'm with you, man, and I think it's going to happen. I think that we've got a great mix, like I said, just about the cornerback room. Young guys, veterans. I think that we're going to have some fun tonight, to be honest with you. Shane Smith says, I stopped watching this movie. Yeah, you should be. What are you watching, a movie instead of this, man? What's going on, Shane? Let's see. Mike P says, things are good. Getting ready for tonight. Oh, that was Booner. My bad. Brent DeWitt, 92 watching and 47 likes. Smash the like button, folks. Hey, thanks, Brent. Appreciate the shout out. You guys know I'm terrible at asking for that stuff, but it does help. It helps get this algorithm out to more Lions fans and get this content out there. Appreciate the likes. As you know, this is the only channel that pays for all the ads. We don't run ads on any of our live streams so that you guys can watch free. Just we ask you to like the stream. That's all. Just like the stream for us. That helps us out. Let's see. Brent Lighton says, I wouldn't play Levi in the preseason with Reader out. I think that they're going to want to see what he's got, to be honest with you. I think we have enough depth. I definitely think we have enough depth to not play him, but I think they're going to want to see if he can hold up, because it's whether it happens now or in the season. If he suffers another injury, would you rather see it now or in week 4, when now you need him? You know what I mean? I don't know. Let's see here. Mike P says, Martin also has to step up this camp, watch pad level, and push. I 1,000% agree. Last year in the Raiders game, you saw him got bullied and pushed around. And that was one of his biggest knocks coming out of college, was that he played so high in pad level, he was top heavy, right? And for such a big man, 350 pounds or whatever he was coming out of college, you shouldn't be able to move that man. And he was real easy I mean, once a center got underneath him, he was able to direct him and move him wherever he wanted. Can't see that. Not tonight. Can't happen. He's got, 2 seasons in now. He needs to play with better pad level. Let's see here. Broderick Martin is still learning to keep his strength while setting proper base, according to Brent. I believe in that too. Let's see here. Prove it year for AG, says Tracy. Prove it year for AG. No excuses, says Rick. No excuses for AG. He's got the talent now. Tracy thinks that Rakestraw is going to ball out. Will, have you decided on a trip to Dallas yet? Not yet. We might be in the Houston game versus Dallas. It just depends on how it all lines up. Let's talk about Bates for just a second. Oh, Andrew Drow says, I'm most hoping to see Wingo and Matty Betts today. Those are going to be a dominant duo on the right side of the defense. And you might see them flip-flop a little bit, but I think that's going to be a dominant duo. I'm super excited about that one too, Andrew. Peter Van Laarhoven says, ready to see how some of the fringe players will do. So, Jake Bates, look, he's been getting a lot of criticism over the last couple of weeks. He comes in hot, and then all of a sudden, Badgley's injured, and now it's the Jake Bates show. He misses some field goals. Here's what I haven't done, which I'm going to try to do today, is I want to take a look around the league, and I want to see if there's any sort of stats that I can find on who's making how many attempts and at what distances. 50, 60% made field goal attempts might seem low. And yeah, it would be low if you were in a regular season setting. But when you're kicking 14, 15, 16 field goals a day, my question would be, how many are you going to allow these guys to miss during practice? High pressure situations, right? You don't know the field conditions. How hot is it outside? I mean, and none of that's an excuse, right? I mean, they should still be able to make it. Shout out Tracy, $5 super chat says, great job smashing that like button, y'all. We're over 60. See how that works? We went from 40 to 60 that quick. Good job, people. Appreciate it. I guess what I would say is, let's not worry. It's early. We need to see him in game time decisions, right? Game time performance. And so far what we've seen with the Michigan Panthers is during the game, he had ice in his veins. Yeah, the last game or two, he had a couple of misses. But the last game of the season, the game was on the line the entire game. And he was the only one scoring points for the team. I think he attempted 5 or 6 field goals in the last game of the season for the Panthers. I think he made 4 of them, 3 or 4 of them. And he also injured himself on one of the last ones. So that's a lot of balls to kick in a game. Like, we shouldn't be kicking, 5, 6, field goals in a game. To be honest with you, I think the Lions kicked less than 10 field goals last year. And I would hope that the same remains true this year. And that Bates is only utilized, for a couple of long ones if needed, to help us win the game, maybe, or maybe to, take a lead going into the going into the end of the first half. I think he's going to be fine. He just needs more time. He's got the leg, clearly has the accuracy. We don't know. Was it a bad hold? Where the laces turned? Did the ball get tipped? Who knows? There's too many things that could be going on. Was he sick? Was he not feeling well that day? He's the only kicker, so he's got to kick. Too many questions unanswered. Let's see what he does in the game before we jump down his throat. I think Bates is going to be all right. What else we got going on this morning? So we're coming up on the 9 o'clock hour. I don't think I've done any ads or anything this morning, have I? Let's get into an ad from Uper Lights, one of our sponsors of the show. Here we go.
Every day, thousands of people are discovering Uper Lights, Michigan's newest, funnest rock to go find on the shores of the Great Lakes. Don't go out with just any light. Try the Convoy C8 from UperLights.com. It's guaranteed for life, and you'll find all the ones everyone else misses. Quality UV lights that are perfect for Uperlights with prices starting as low as $20. Please make sure to visit UperLights.com for all your UV flashlight needs with the best guarantees on the market. Just what you wanted and not what you didn't. The best quality, the best guarantees, and the best UV flashlights from UperLights.com.
All right. Thank you, Eric, for that. Appreciate that. Eric's one of the sponsors of the show. So if you guys want to come out on the 11th, now I don't have any training camp tickets left. I mean, I may have one or two that might pop up this week, but this Sunday, we're going to be trying to get together, whether it's at the Meyer parking lot right around the corner from Allen Park or Pro Sports Zone. I will find out today if we're going to be able to meet up at Pro Sports Zone early. Now, I think they open up at 10, but we were trying to get in at 9. So Pro Sports Zone is going to be coming on as a sponsor of the show. Excuse me. And some of the things that we're putting together include, discounts on game day. So, if it's a night game, you need to go get some supplies, whether it's for your tailgate, you need a new jersey, whatever. You'll have a special code to be able to go into Pro Sports Zone and to always save on their gear there. So we're trying to get into Pro Sports Zone early since, we've got a couple hours in the morning before, what is a 1 o'clock practice, I believe. So if we can get in early, you guys can pick up some gear, and we're also going to be giving away some gift bags and some other things. So we're going to have a lot of giveaways, that day. It'll be limited to the first people that show up. Obviously, I think that we're doing the first 20 people. Don't quote me. I think it's the first 20 people that show up to the meet and greet. They'll be getting a Uper Light gift bag. May not be 20. It might be 15. I can't remember now. And I'll have some other things planned for you guys too, but we'll get the meet and greet information posted up today. And that way you guys, and tomorrow, and that way you guys have enough time to make sure that you can get there. Either way, it's only 20 minutes, 25 minutes away from the facility. If we do Pro Sports Zone, it's in Livonia versus Allen Park. Meyer is just a mile around the corner. Either way, it's just a simple meet and greet. Let's say hi, let's take some pictures, and talk some football for a minute, and then go watch practice. So what else we want to get into this morning? What else is on everyone's mind here? Let me get my notes rolling, see what else we need to cover today. Camp standouts. So far this season, I don't think that we were worried about Aiden Hutchinson or Aleem McNeil at all. Aleem is heading into, a contract season. He's playing no different. And I think the Hutchinson obviously has been a standout on the defensive line, since he's been here. But I think this year's a different level for Aiden. I think that we're seeing a guy that is transformed his body yet again. He keeps getting bigger and stronger, not necessarily faster, but bigger and stronger. And that's, a big ups to him because he's taken this so serious. He wants to be the best edge in the game. He's clearly doing well, in the sack department. It's only going to get better with the likes of DJ Reader on this team and Marcus Davenport helping him from the other edge. Aiden Hutchinson is probably going to have one of his biggest seasons ever this season. And I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't think that 15 sacks is unattainable, but I've said it before. I don't think that sacks matter as much when you look at the grand scheme of the defense and how they should play together. I'd rather see, instead of him getting all 15, maybe he gets 10, but 5 other guys get 1, or 2 other guys get 3, or 3 other guys get 3. You know what I mean? I'd rather see more spread out, which means that we can win from anywhere. I don't want it coming from just one guy. And I think that that's the mentality that most, defensive coordinators and coaches, take is, I can't just have one guy because it's easy to stop one guy. Now, as good as he is, or Myles Garrett is still extremely hard to stop when you're throwing triple teams at him, even double teams. But when you look at this season and you know, how far do you really want to go? You need more guys that can produce. So I think for that reason, I'd rather see the sacks spread out. So don't be alarmed. I mean, if he doesn't have 15 sacks, like, you know, a lot of people throwing out the number 20. Don't worry about it. Just win ball games. That's all that matters. We just need to win ball games. He just needs to do his job, and he'll affect the game. No matter what, he'll affect the game. I promise you that. Aiden's going to have a hell of a season this year. Aleem McNeil. No surprise that, you know, Aleem is come in yet again ready to go. Ready to apply some pressure on these quarterbacks, making plays against the run. Very dominant last season in the run game. And I feel like he's going to be extremely disruptive this season. We're going to see a lot of guys, you know, step up behind these guys, but I think that Aleem McNeil next to DJ Reader is going to be the league's worst nightmare, to be honest with you. They're going to terrorize these offensive lines, and I'm super excited about it. But I really want to get to some of the guys that the Lions brought in and you know, kind of what they're doing, or, you know, how some of the SOL fans, at least I hope they're going away, but some of these SOL fans thought that Brad Holmes made a big mistake. And so far it's been anything but a big mistake. Okay, so Marcus Davenport. Clearly, a lot of people thought that this guy was going to be a problem. And because he's been unhealthy, right? He hasn't played a whole lot. He got injured early last year, was banged up the year before. But when he does play, the guy can play at a high level. And he's still young, right? He's in good shape. You've heard what Aleem McNeil's had to say about this guy. You've heard what Terrell Williams has had to say about this guy. Tonight, if he doesn't play, he doesn't play. But when he finally gets in and he's staying healthy, I think that you guys are going to be extremely surprised at just what type of player Marcus Davenport is. I've done the comparisons, right? He's very similar to Aiden Hutchinson as far as size. He's actually faster than Aiden Hutchinson, longer arms than Aiden Hutchinson. Maybe doesn't have, you know, all the skill set that Aiden does, but Marcus Davenport is a very large human that can move, and he's pissed off. Aleem McNeil has told us all the guy just wants to run through your face. Doesn't care about teaching anything. He'll teach you some things, but he just wants to run through their face. That is the mentality that we need. And I think that you're seeing that mentality kind of spread, you know, around this defense. I mean, clearly against the Giants, they were trying to run through their faces every other play with fists or whatever. I hope that they can control that temper in the game setting. But if they have that kind of a pissed off vengeance going on right now, that they are so angry at what happened in the NFC Championship game, and they should be, that we're going to see a team finally be like, you know, well, let's just put it this way. The Seattle Seahawks last year completely desecrated, demolished our offense at times. Very rude, disrespectful. It was probably one of the worst displays of football that I've seen from a respectful standpoint, right? I mean, they just didn't respect us at all, like at all. And that's who I want to see these Lions become. I want them to play smart, right? Play within the scheme. Do all the things that you're supposed to do to win the game, but play pissed off. Come in with zero respect for these guys. That will change this defense from a defense that can, you know, eke out some wins to a defense that can dominate games. And we don't have to score 35 points. You can probably put up 20. And that's what I want to see. So Marcus Davenport is a guy that can get us there. You know, after missing all of the offseason training program, rehabbing an injury, Davenport has really jumped into the padded portion of practice and shown why the Lions sought his talents in free agency. He's got terrific length, 6'6", 265 pounds. He's got crazy strength, you know, off the edge. He's been really good at setting the edge so far in camp and in the practices this week, really helping to push the pocket. So with Aiden Hutchinson, you know, down the line from him, and DJ Reader that's going to be, implanted in the middle there, how can you guys not be excited, of who's going to benefit the most? Is it going to be Aiden? Is it going to be Marcus? Is it going to be Aleem? Pick one. All of these guys are going to, have some sort of success off the other. And that's what makes it so exciting. I've already spoken about Ennis Rakestraw a little bit, but, he really got off to a slow start, as the entire DB room really did. But when it came time to get interceptions in camp, nobody was really showing up. Matter of fact, I want to say it was the show on the 30th where I said that, look, don't worry, they're coming. I could see it. These guys are getting hands on. I mean, they're so close. They're getting their hands on the balls. They're deflecting passes. The interceptions will come. And it was that day. So that was the morning show. It was that day's practice. They came up with 3 interceptions. So maybe they watched the morning show, got a little hyped. I don't know. Just throw that out there. Just kidding. So look, slow start, but now Ennis Rakestraw has shown us why the Lions took him in the second round. Levi we've already spoken about. Derek Barnes, we've already spoken about. Caden Davis, we've already spoken about. But Jamison Williams. So I want to kind of end today's show. It's going to be a short show today. But I want to end today's show on Jamison Williams, because I think that this is a guy that everyone is so excited about. And you guys know me. I have been a JMO, not necessarily hater. I'm a supporter of JMO. I'm just not a guy that blindly will follow a sheep. You know what I mean? I'm just not that guy. So you've got to prove it to me. You've got to show me what you're working with, right? Show me the money. This is the show me state, right? I'll leave it alone. Jamison Williams. I would be lying to you if I told you that I always felt JMO was going to arrive and finally put it together. That would be a bold-faced lie. So I'm not going to lie to you. What I've seen out of JMO up until the last 3-4 games of last season, I was like, yeah, this was a mistake. He's just too immature. He's not putting it together. He's not ready to go. He's not, creating continuity with Jared Goff for whatever reason. So something's missing. And I expected that this was going to be the offseason that, he either has to, bear down or get off the pot, right? And now we're seeing that. He has grown not only mentally, but physically. And it's been extremely fun to read, listen, and watch the Jamison Williams show. The kid is finally putting it together. He's got to put it together in the games. But so far throughout practice and training camp and even the joint practices this week, he's been consistent. He's not dropping any balls. He's in the right spot. He's making big plays. So for that reason alone would make you excited. You're seeing a transformation, whereas last year it was balls on the ground all day. It was losing the ball in the lights, balls hitting him in the face. Pause. It was a tough offseason and season for him. But when it really counted in the NFC Championship game, he came alive. Now, they were runs, right? They were the jet sweeps or whatever, the reverse. But he started to come alive. Now, there were some key statements in this offseason that he had made about his work with Teddy B. And I think that this is where I started to recognize he's changed. And it was that football was just, this game, let me rewind. The practice with Teddy B, the time with Teddy B was more than just playing football, right? He recognized what he needed to do to become a better teammate first. He admitted that he was immature. He admitted that, he was slow to grow and therefore he was struggling. It was very evident last season that JMO didn't really have his head right, whatever that means. But he was consistently dropping balls, losing the ball in the lights, like I just said. And he had flashes, right? He flashed, but never any consistency. So we wanted to see that consistency start with JMO this year from the jump. You ended great. It's time now to take it to the next level. So now comes 2024, and you're seeing that consistency. You're starting to see it show up each and every day. He's making plays in every practice, joint practice, like I've said. Too bad we won't see him tonight. But he's been tough to stop, and he's been getting great separation. Ezra before, he was the deep ball, right? It was the deep crosser. It was a deep out or an in. Now we're starting to see J-Mo catch balls in the intermediate routes, the shallow routes. So he's obviously, his route tree has grown. It's fun to watch. Jared Goff clearly has more confidence in J-Mo, and it shows. Now, during the offseason, we knew that Amon-Ra St. Brown spent time with Jared Goff, but we did not know that J-Mo had spent time with Jared Goff in Southern California up until about 2 weeks ago. That information started to come out. So, or at least I didn't know. So now you're seeing Jared Goff targeting J-Mo earlier. It's not the third or fourth option anymore. It's the second option, possibly the first option now. And I'm not saying he's going to eat into Amon-Ra St. Brown's targets, but man, now you've got confidence in J-Mo with Sam, or, with Laporta and Amon-Ra in the field, and Gibbs in the backfield. Come on, give me a break here. Who's going to stop this? Nobody can. The fact that J-Mo's finally showing up, pulling his weight, and realize that he had some growth to do internally, mentally, physically. That's exactly what we needed to see. But let's be honest, right? This is week 1 of preseason for the Lions. Week 1 of the regular season is where the real evaluation will begin. We know that J-Mo has elite speed. He has shown us that he has great hands, that he can high point the ball. He's willing to go up, for contested catches. The guy will leap like 8 yards through the air towards the ball. It's fun to watch. He will sacrifice himself to catch a football. That's what we needed to see. So I just want to see him catch the ball consistently right now and play, with that vigor and be pissed off, that maybe it's taken him this long to get there, but continue to put the work in every single day. Even when you do arrive, continue to go further. Amon-Ra St. Brown has arrived. He still does the same workout every day, if not a harder workout now that he's arrived, because now he has to stay there. J-Mo needs to adopt that same mentality, and that's why it's really hard to bring guys in that don't have that mentality, because you're never going to teach it to them. And I think that J-Mo has it. Maybe he's just been a little shy for whatever reason. In the very beginning, we knew that he was a bit shy, especially around the microphone, but he's starting to open up. And when you see him happy, that's when he plays his best ball. So this is a make or break season. I hate to say it, but it is a make or break season for J-Mo, just like it is for AG. I still have a lot of confidence in AG, but I don't think he had the personnel, to be honest with you. But for J-Mo being a 12th overall pick, it's time to show up and show us all why Brad Holmes really risked so much to move up and get him injured in the first round. I think he's going to do it, guys and ladies. I think he's going to do it. I think it's going to be an extremely fun season to watch a few of these guys really grow. I think Sion Vaki is going to surprise us quite a bit with what he's able to do, even in the offense. We might see him in there on some gadget plays. It's going to be extremely fun to watch this guy. What do we got going on in the chat here? Andrew Drow says the draft of Harrison, Odunze, and Neighbors must have motivated J-Mo as well. I believe he wants to be the best, and he is now maturing and doing the work. So, look, Neighbors is scary good. Now, I don't think that we can overshadow the fact that a lot of that was happening in 7-on-7s. It wasn't full 11-on-11, but the dude is still scary good. He does have that Odell Beckham, esque, if you will, to his playing ability. Like he's just a different dude. He'll be fun to watch, even though he's on a different team. Look, I still love to watch football players do well. So I'll be watching Neighbors from afar. I think Harrison. Yeah, I think Harrison has the tools to be great too. I haven't heard much out of the Arizona Cardinals camp. Haven't really paid attention a whole lot, but Broski Bear says, "Will, good, honest breakdown of Jameson." That's all I try to be is honest, Broski. That's all I try to be is honest. And I think that's why, some people like you or they dislike you. If you're honest and realistic, there's a lot of people that love that. There's some people that would rather hear Kool-Aid drinking talk. That's never going to be me. I'm a realist, being a loyal season ticket holder for 25 years, 24 years, whatever it's been now. I've seen it all. I've seen a lot of it anyway. And I'm always going to be real about it. To me, the proof is in the pudding, as they like to say. I got to see it. You got to put it in front of me. You can talk all day. I can talk all day. But until one of us shows up, what do you really know other than talk, right? So JMO's just got to show up and do it. And I think he will. Great question here by Peter Van Larhoven, and I apologize if I missed some other ones. But he says, Will, in your opinion, who needs to have a game or they might not make it? Oh, let's see here. Who needs to have a good game tonight? Honestly, look, if we're going to look at the wide receiver room a little bit further, it's DPJ. It's Antoine Green. I think that those two guys, I don't think that Antoine Green is really on the outs. Let's think about it. So you got Amon-Ra, you got a Jameson, you got Khalif. Lock, right? Let me pull up my notes on these guys. So last season, Lions kept 5 wide receivers. The season, well, they kind of kept 6 because JMO was on suspension, but so they kept 5 wide receivers. And really after Darius Fountain, I think the battle is wide open. And look, Darius Fountain is still part of this battle. I mean, he could totally shit the bed here in preseason and it's over. Like I said earlier, nobody really seems to be separating themselves from the pack. And that's what makes this difficult. So I think it's a close battle where Fountain and Green are probably looking at locking up that 4th spot. So if you've got Amon-Ra, as of today, Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams, Khalif Raymond, Darius Fountain, and Antoine Green at number 5, then it's really between Antoine Green, DPJ, Caden Davis, Isaiah Williams, and Traquan Smith to round out that 5th spot. So for that reason, I think that Antoine Green and all the guys that I just mentioned need to have a phenomenal preseason. The good thing about this year, now, and I hope you guys haven't forgotten this, excuse me. I'm starting to lose my voice. That cuts now all happen on one day. After this week, we would have already started to cut players. After next week, we would have had to have cut like another 15 players, whatever it was. Now, you do all the cuts at the end of August. So it's not so much, Peter, that someone needs to have a game tonight or they get cut. They have 3 weeks. This is the clock. Today it starts the clock. It starts the countdown. You now have 3 weeks to evaluate these guys. Now, there could be some moves, right? I mean, they could say, look, yeah, this guy's just, we know he's not going to make it. Go find somebody else. Let's see if they can impress us enough over the next few weeks to make this team. Will it happen? Probably not. Could we see more interior guys, brought in like offensive linemen? Probably. And that's because those guys are, they are what they are, right? You can either block or you can't. So I think that the offensive side of the ball is a big watch fest tonight. Like where are these guys going to break out from? On the defensive side of the ball, so let's do the defensive side of the ball for a second. Man, there's a lot going on the defensive side of the ball. Like I think we're pretty deep. Actually, let me pull up the depth chart here. So we're pretty deep in the edge position. So Marcus Davenport, Aiden Hutchinson are locks, right? Josh Paschal, to me, was a guy that, in the way that the Lions depth chart is, I'm just going to go with what they have. So they are slotting James Houston as an edge player. So you got Marcus Davenport, Aiden Hutchinson, Josh Paschal, James Houston. Those four guys are probably locks. So where John Kaminsky is now out, you're going to have a big battle between Mathieu Betts, Isaac Ukwu, and Mitchell Agood. And that'll give you 5 edge players. The Lions could keep 6. On the defensive tackle side, Lee McNeil, DJ Reader, locks. Kyle Pecco has really shown up this year. I expect Kyle Pecco to probably be the 5th or 6th defensive tackle. I think Levi O and Kyle Pecco are kind of battling out right now. I think Broderick Martin and Mekhi Wingo are safe. So you have Lee McNeil, DJ Reader, Mekhi Wingo, Broderick Martin are safe. Tonight, the battle is going to be between Kyle Pecco and Levi Onwuzurike. Who's going to edge each other out? Doesn't mean that they both wouldn't make the roster, but that would be 6 defensive tackles. And in 2022, since I have that one pulled up, I want to say the Lions kept 5. Yeah, they kept 5 interior line and 5 edge rushers. So if we go with 10 total, it's going to be real tough. This 5th spot's going to be real tough because you could keep 6. And that's why tight end matters a whole heck of a lot, because if they keep one less tight end, I think that opens up a spot for the defensive line. If they keep one less cornerback, which I don't see happening, that opens up another spot for safety, or vice versa. There's battles everywhere, Peter. There's battles everywhere. But I think that the players to watch tonight, Levi O, let's throw Kyle Pecco in there for a battle between those two guys. Who plays better tonight? Josh Paschal or James Houston? Who's going to play better tonight? The thing about Josh Paschal is he can play interior and outside. James Houston is he's a sub specialist right now. He's a guy that is a third down specialist, and those aren't bad guys to have. I thought that he would have been more of a linebacker, but for whatever reason, the Lions have him listed as an edge rusher and only 2 linebackers. Doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why they have it listed this way. If they've changed their defense, that would be news to me. But typically, they have 3 linebackers listed: Mike, Will, and Sam, with 2 edge and 2 DTs. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on here with their roster, unless this is the 4-2-5, that they're going to be running tonight, which looks that way. It's probably just our 4-2-5 roster. Kobe Sorsdahl, he's actually been playing pretty well. So his development is head and shoulders over where it was last season. Look, we've seen Kobe get in last year, and he kind of had a tough go at it. This year, obviously, he's transformed his body a little bit. He's another year into the system. I think that Kobe Sorsdahl is going to be just fine. All right, so the last few questions of the day, and then I'm going to hang it up. I got to save my voice for tonight. What else is on your mind today? We'll do the last few minutes here with some questions, statements. Who's your targets tonight? Like, who are you looking for? I guess that would be my question for the chat. Who are you looking tonight to really take a step up? We pretty much already know who the starters are, right? You can hammer away the top probably 40 players on this team, maybe 38, 37. So who are the guys that you're really looking for? Put it in the chat. Tell me in the comments, below, and let me know. What are the most important positions in your mind? Are you still hung up on defensive end? Do you really think that Marcus Davenport is not the guy? Well, let me know. I'd like to hear about it so we can talk about it tonight. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing the full game live, but I might. We'll see how I feel in a little bit. Otherwise, we'll do a post-game wrap-up show. I don't know if Chef's going to do anything live tonight or not, but we'll talk about it when we get off today. Lee McNeil extension talk has quieted down lately. Any reason? I don't know that there's really any talk per se. Aleem doesn't want to know about it. Aleem doesn't want anything to do with it. He doesn't want people asking him about it. He doesn't even want his agent to tell him anything, which is the correct way to go about it. You're not going to play well if you're wrapped up in contract talks. Aleem McNeil is next. I don't think that there's any doubts about it. The question is, what is his agent asking? Because clearly he's asking too much. Otherwise, the deal would have been done. The Lions still have plenty of money available. They just locked up Taylor Decker. And the Lions cap space right now is still right around $40 million. 42. Wow. Almost $43 million. $42.8 million in cap space. But I don't know how Brad Holmes does this every year, but we end up with like more cap space than we started with every year. The guy's a magician, man. This never happened before. We would usually be negative by now under the Matt Millen or Quinn Trisha era. So I would say this, Aleem's going to get done. Even if you pay him $20, $25 million a year, I think he's worth it. But then what about Aiden? Is Aiden going to want a new contract next year? That's when he'll be eligible. He's eligible after season 3. That's going to be the tough one because he's probably worth 25 to 30 million. Maybe more. I don't think that he should be the highest paid. He's definitely not the best edge in the game right now if you were to compare just stats. But I think this season, this is what happens. You bring in a guy like DJ Reader, you better bet that Aiden Hutchinson's going to have a much better season. Same thing for Aleem McNeil. And that's what's going to propel their contracts. And I think that's what you have to look at too. But agents don't care, right? They're just going to say, no, this is what my guy did. This is how well he played. This is what he deserves. I don't care who's on that defensive line. So if you don't get it done now, you're going to pay through the nose next year. I guarantee it. Hutch to the defensive player of the year in 2024, man, that would be sweet, wouldn't it? The good news is I don't think that Hutch really cares about any of that stuff. He just wants to win. He just wants to win in Detroit, man. Homegrown, hometown guy. He just wants to bring that Lombardi home for all of us fans. I hope he gets it. I really do. Brett Lighton says we will need that money rolled over to 2025 for Aleem, Iffy, Barnes, Hutch, Levi, and Davis. I'm not sure who ND is. I'm not sure on Levi, man. I'm not sure. He's going to have a really good season. Those back injuries, man, I personally, I would walk away from the back injuries. I have 2 of them, so I know what it's like. And to play football, I couldn't even imagine. Rick says main things I'm watching tonight is Hooker and the rookies. It's a good place to be. Brent Lighton says, hostage, the CFL doesn't really have DNs set the edge. They always rush, so Betts has a ways to go. That's a good call by Brent. They were separated by a couple more yards in the CFL. So Betts always launched, right? He always launched and was just crashing up. Beat tackles, though, pretty easily. Now he's going to be matched up a little bit more. I'd love to see Matthew Betts out in the wide 9. I would love to see him in that position. I think he'll excel in that position. Let's see if we deploy it tonight. Peter Van Larhoven says, we can't keep everyone. It'll be interesting to see who Brad truly values the most on the current team. Great point. Brent Lighton says that helmet to the thigh Hutch took after the interception against Carolina hurt him for 2 months. I did not know that. I knew about the injury, but I didn't know it hurt him for 2 months. Probably had a real deep thigh bruise, if anything there. Mike P says he's going to watch Wingo, Betts, Kingsley, Ekudukon, and sorry about the spelling, Robinson. Kingsley. So I kind of forgot about Kingsley. And quite honestly, that is a player we should be watching. So good point there. Kingsley, he's starting to make a name for himself right now throughout camp. So the Lions are definitely going to need some depth. Is he really going to be a center? I don't know. Is he more of a guard? Probably. We'll see how he does tonight. But Michael Neese, I think that the battle right now is with Michael Neese and Kingsley. clearly, but Michael Neeson, Ike Boetiger, or Boetker, however you say his last name. I think that those two players are kind of interchangeable at the right guard position or left guard position, but Graham Glasgow obviously has got the left guard handled. I think that we're looking to see, which one of those guys can step up and play, and Kingsley is right there with him. So it's kind of a mix of those three guys. I think we'll probably keep one of those three, maybe two of those three. But I think when you look at the second player right now in the depth chart, that's who's probably going to get a lot of playing time tonight. And those players, they're going to make a decision on tonight before probably next week's game, whether they're going to get more playing time next week and then who's going to come up behind them that they really need to get a better look at. So, all right. So we're going to be back tonight right after the game. I'm starting to lose my voice. I thought that I'd be able to go a couple extra hours this morning, but not going to happen. Appreciate everybody that showed up. Appreciate you guys sticking around. After I've never been sick like this. So after COVID, for whatever reason, I had COVID twice, and I've keep getting sick now. So I don't know if there's anything to do with that, but for whatever reason, I keep getting these chest infections, every other year. But I don't vape anymore. I don't smoke, so I quit the vaping. You guys told me to quit, so I quit. We'll see you guys tonight. Appreciate you guys sticking around. And look, it's game on. It's week 1 preseason, Lions versus Giants, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Is there going to be some fights tonight, you think? You think there's going to be a little bit of a rash breakout of helmets flying and fists flying? I hope not. I want to see everybody staying healthy. We don't need any broken wrists, broken hands, broken fingers because you're trying to punch a hard helmet. I mean, that's just ludicrous. I mean, these guys are tough, but come on, let's be smart too. So we'll see you guys tonight. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy it. It's Thursday, game 1 tonight.
Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future.